right, let me get to Andy Katz, Turner Sports, NCAA.com, college basketball analyst. March Madness continues tonight. USC Gonzaga, UCLA versus Michigan. Andy will be with Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson on studio coverage beginning at 6 Eastern. Sorry to put you through that, Andy. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. Yeah, I run a lot, but I'm not the prettiest runner either. I don't think I could. I don't know. Well, maybe I could beat Steven Seagal. I don't know.
I don't even know how that came up that Paulie could outrun Steven Seagal.
Aesthetically, I can.
Okay. You'll look better than running.
Maybe Paulie's early years in the late 90s.
All right. Give me the surprise tonight. Is there a surprise tonight? And how does that team pull it off?
If there is a surprise, I believe it will be UCLA. I am picking Michigan and Gonzaga, but I want to qualify this as this has been my worst bracket ever. Usually I'm pretty good, but this has been my worst one ever. Although in my revised Sweet bracket, I'm doing much better. But UCLA definitely can beat Michigan, I think more so than USC against Gonzaga. UCLA has found itself. They lost 4 in a row. The fact that Johnny Juzang and Jaime Jaquez and now Jules Bernard are all playing well at the same time. That had not happened in basically a month. And so offensively, they're just playing much better. I mean, Cody Riley is sort of by himself inside, and that's going to be a problem against Hunter Dickinson. But UCLA now can score much better than they could, and that's why I give them a chance, certainly against Michigan.
Explain that to me, though. These guys are quarantined in a bubble in Indianapolis, and USC and UCLA, even Oregon State. They emerged from the Pac-12, that we didn't talk about the Pac-12, and now, here they are on the doorstep of maybe going to a Final Four.
Well, a couple things. First of all, it's not a true bubble. It's not the NBA bubble where you could actually seal off the Disney compound. I know this sounds very NCAA speak in the controlled environment, but it really is not a true bubble because there were a lot of coaches and teams seeing each other, passing back and forth. But I do think, and Kenny made this point a week ago, where because there were fewer games, usually it takes sometimes by game 19 to figure your team out. And by game 19 or 20, for some of these teams, they were in the postseason. And I do think with the case of UCLA, because they had to learn how to play without Chris Smith, without Jalen Hill, and these happened during the season, they just needed more games. And you could argue the same thing with Oregon State. I thought USC was good all year. They had a couple of questionable games that they shouldn't have lost, but they had the talent from the beginning. But Oregon State was another team that just got better as the season went along because they needed more games. These teams did not have that traditional longer non-conference. A lot of them didn't play in traditional non-conference tournaments, and so it just took longer.
And then you have Gonzaga. They're trying to go wire to wire, best team. Is Gonzaga basketball power?
Yes. People should wash their mouth out with soap if they say mid-major because it doesn't exist in their vernacular. It has nothing to do with this program anymore. I don't like the term anyway because I feel like it's labeling, but I mean, they travel charter everywhere. Mark makes fantastic money that's comparable to anyone around the country. Now they can get games. Now, years ago, people wouldn't come to Spokane, or maybe they would come to Spokane, but Spokane Arena, not to campus. That's not an issue. They can get any game in the country. Duke just signed up to play them in Vegas, so that's not a problem. Now they can get anybody in the country. They're getting literally the top recruits in the country, beating Kentucky and Duke. And Jalen Suggs on this team, he legitimately has a chance to be the number 1 draft pick from Gonzaga.
But when did it change for Gonzaga, or the perception of Gonzaga?
I would say, I think it changed with Adam Morrison, because Adam Morrison, if you remember that year with J.J. Redick, were went back and forth with the scoring lead. Morrison was sort of must-see TV. They never should have lost that game to UCLA. That was the beginning of UCLA's run of Final Fours under Ben Howland. But then Morrison got picked by Michael Jordan. I think it was number 3 in the draft. Maybe he shouldn't have been, but he was. And but I think that's where it started to change. And then I think it really changed when they played for the national championship in 2017 against North Carolina. A game really, once again, that they could have and maybe should have won because they had a lead late. I think around the 5-minute mark. So,
but they got to win a title, though, Andy. They have to win a title. Like, it's not. This isn't a successful season if they don't win a title, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not fair to say that in general, but yes, they are the best team. They have the best players on the floor, no matter who they play against. Baylor's very good, but I would still take the pros on Gonzaga. And the thing that has been great being in the studio with these guys is, because obviously they have such an amazing NBA background, is watching them watch Gonzaga, looking at them like an NBA team and the way they share the basketball, the way their offensive rhythm, the passing has been phenomenal, throughout the course of the season. I mean, the bounce pass, especially from Suggs and Andrew Nembhard, who probably does not get enough credit, the transfer from Florida, he has been phenomenal for them too. But their ability to share the basketball and be really in concert with each other in a year where that was very difficult because people didn't have a traditional summer or fall, that's even more impressive.
We're talking to Andy Katz, Turner Sports NCAA college basketball analyst. The coverage starts tonight with Andy, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Ernie Johnson. That'll be at 6 Eastern on TBS. The situation with Indiana with Mike Woodson is, well, your reaction to Mike Woodson as Indiana's coach.
Well, the figurine in front of you of Bob Knight, I think, has already expressed himself to be very happy with this selection. Look, I think give him a chance. They're obviously going down this model. They weren't going to get Brad Stevens unless Brad Stevens had been fired, 2 weeks before. Also, the current trend for the most part is those NBA coaches, younger NBA coaches, don't want to go back to college and deal with recruiting. So I never thought they were getting Brad. They weren't getting Chris Holtman. So the question is, okay, what are they going to get? Scott Dolson, the AD, has Bob Knight ties to that era. And so there are candidates in that pool, and they went to that pool. And Mike Woodson has had success in the NBA. Now he's older than Juwan Howard. He's in his 60s. Adding Thad Matta as a consultant, whatever that will mean. He's not going to be on the bench, but maybe allowing for the transition back to college basketball and helping him understand all that will be helpful. But I think his staff will be critical. And Juwan Howard did an unbelievable job of building his staff at Michigan, especially adding Phil Martelli. And that has really helped connect with these players and this game. And, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but I wonder, were they going to hire Thad Matta as their basketball coach? He failed the physical. They were probably deep into conversations with him and wanted to give him a job, and therefore they made him sort of the overseer of the – it just doesn't make any sense, Andy. I mean, Thad Matta is a great college coach.
Thad Matta part.
Thad Matta part.
Yeah, no, I agree. I am very perplexed by it. Unless Thad has – and I have not talked to him. I never really believed, though, when he left because of his health issues, that he really wanted to get back into coaching. Sometimes these guys like to be wooed, to feel like they're, still important and wanted. And I think he did that dance a little bit on a couple of jobs, but I never was convinced that he wanted to be fully back in to college basketball or, head coaching in that form, or even as a Martelli-like assistant. So to me, I'll be very interested to see what this really means. Is he really going to be living in Bloomington? Is he just going to be maybe in Indianapolis and in Florida where he's been living and just sort of pop in? Is he just on the phone? Is he on Zoom? Is he just, sort of like a hired consultant? And if that's the case, maybe that'll work out. But I'm really interested to see just how involved he will be.
We started the show. I was talking about the basketball game last night, and that was Connecticut against Baylor, the women's game. And it came down to, a no call at the end of the game. You hear officials, we talk about it. Do you swallow your whistle at the end? Do you let them play? Do you allow a little more contact there? Where do you stand on that? And I don't know if you saw the play. To me, it looked like there was contact with the body by one of the UConn women against Carrington on that shot.
Yeah, a couple things on that, Dan. First of all, if there's contact, there's contact. I don't care what time is left in the game. A foul is a foul. Been covering this now for 30 years, and every coach and official will say that. Now, they might not like that, but it was clearly a foul, from what I saw, and should have been called. Who knows if she makes the free throws and all that. But, we could also be critical that it was not a great play. They looked kind of lost offensively, and she ran right into traffic.
Yep.
And so it was not executed well. But, probably should have been a foul. Two other things I just want to add on that, Dan. Little soapbox moment here. First off, Dr. Mulcahy, I don't think she's a medical doctor or an epidemiologist. Not sure why she randomly went off that there should be no COVID testing here at this point. I mean, we're basically near the finish line of the two Final Fours, and she's preaching that there should be no COVID testing here at the final stop. That made no sense. And so I don't know why she even went down that road. And then secondly, I don't understand for the life of me, because they could have done it differently this year. You're right. That was the best game last night. Why was it opposite the men, or why were the men opposite the women?
Yeah.
I don't understand why this whole tournament, they won't this weekend. They finally got it right, where it's the second, fourth for the women, third, fifth for the men. How they have the men and women going opposite. It just makes zero sense to me. The NCAA should have worked with the television partners on both sides and said, look, here's our schedule. Let's not have them go against each other.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Hey, it's great to talk to you, and play nice tonight on the set with those guys. They can rough you up. I know that. Good to talk to you.
I'm having a great time. They've been wonderful. Thank you, Dan.
That's Andy Katz, Turner Sports, and he'll be in the studio with those guys tonight.